Hello and welcome to the show. Today, 3 more vehicles are going to take on the Wreckoning, starting with the modern Pesima. Now, of course, everyone wants to see the slammed cars go around here or around any of the destruction circuits because it's funny at how weak and how easily they fall apart. But I am curious to see how a normal version of the Pesima might fare. This one powered by the 2.7 litre V6. You see, at the Baja circuit, well, this went out at exactly the same point in exactly the same way as the slammed car. So, hopefully it'll do better around here. Seeing as the slammed Pesima currently sits in, well, last place, I am hoping we might get a little bit better performance out of this vehicle. Speed, it doesn't actually look like it's going to be a particular issue. Not turbocharged, this engine, just looks like we've got enough acceleration, enough go to get the car out of trouble. It is front-wheel drive, and front-wheel drive is not an ideal drive line in terms of this track and in terms of this series. It's actually very nicely done across the first jump. Okay, I mean, we've pinged a door out, we've lost some windows. That's cosmetic. That is of no real significance to this car's survivability. I think more significantly might have been some damage done to the rear suspension, but it's not really affecting it. It's not affecting the car terribly negatively at the moment, and that I can live with. I mean, we're still driving in a straight line. We're not bouncing around uncontrollably. It is a little bit bouncy at the back now, but it's not completely uncontrollable like you can sometimes get with the pickup truck. The D-Series, if you break the rear suspension, it's bouncy to begin with, but if you start breaking the rear suspension in that, then things go downhill very, very quickly. It's just impossible to land a jump smoothly. Will we have the speed? Will we have the control here? Oh, we got in a little bit of bother. We got into a little bit of bother on the approach to that jump. Oh, game has had a slight freeze. Game, we good? I don't quite know why we had a small freeze there, but I'm just praying it hasn't horribly desunk all of the video and my commentary. It's always the fear when games are doing that one. Anyway, we have now started to get some damage to the back of the car. That's a lot more. Ooh, there's a lot more height, a lot more speed across there. Nicely down across the pit, and we are not going to be last place. We are not going to be last place. That has taken out the radiator. Yeah, one of those bumps. I think perhaps, yeah, you can see on the front left wheel the landing across the big jump. While it didn't actually seem like too painful a landing, considering what could have happened with me getting. I think I got some wheel spin and just a bad moment and lost a bit of momentum. We have started to got the car pulling to at the left, and of course with the radiator gone, we will overheat. That is a guaranteed point of failure if the car can survive that long. Now, I don't think this is going to be the worst car for overheating. We will have to wait and see. Yeah, unfortunately, with the way that this car is pulling, I can't quite run it down avoiding the potholes as nicely, because to keep it on the track, I have to fight it a little bit more. Certainly by no means the worst car that I have driven in this series, but it is only going to get worse. Now, the good news is we cleared this jump with a fair amount of space, a fair amount of clearance last time around, so our loss of performance as I'm fighting the car, I'm hoping won't affect us to the point where we now do not make the jump. Yeah, we've still got the acceleration. I've got to be a little bit careful, of course, just to make sure that we are getting across there. That was a heavier impact than I would have liked, but we have survived it. That horrible, horrible death jump that has claimed so many cars on the second time of asking has not claimed the Pesima. Now, the question is, can we go furthest of the front-wheel drives? At the moment, it is the classic all-wheel steer Pesima that leads the way for front-wheel drive cars. We are struggling to turn left a little bit. I think it's, yeah, the way the wheel is bent in, of course, its kind of neutral steering point is to the right, so turning left is now getting a little bit more difficult. It's not completely buckled, though. It's not completely gone. I can manage with it, and as I said, I think we've got enough speed to make it across these jumps, provided nothing goes wrong here. That is kind of a big important thing. Provided nothing goes wrong. I'm struggling a little bit to accelerate. I don't want to change gear because I don't want to have that split second where we lose power delivery. We've done it, though. We have done it across that big jump. We're going to bobble our way across. There's a vicious motocross section here. Really, really, really nasty one. But we've got across there. The exhaust is starting to flail. No real significance to that. Are we going to have the speed to get across the pit? I think we will, actually. I think we will. It's going to be a relatively nice landing. yeah, relatively calm. Now, I've got to try and slow the car down here, make it on towards our river crossing, try not to tear the underside off. It's not nice across there. It's really, really not nice across there whatsoever. With the suspension and kind of damage we've got going on in the car, of course, the cars get lower and lower each time around, especially now I've got the exhaust hanging off. That can catch and tear off. While I don't care about losing the exhaust, if it catches and tears off and then gets ensnared in the wheels, punches tyres, that sort of stuff would be unfortunate. Being said, we are still going, and as far as temperature goes, I mean, it's rising, but we are only at kind of halfway. That is good news. That is good news for our Pesima. Have I got the steering to keep this on? I have actually got the steering to get this car to the inside. If anything, I think the steering's got better from the last couple of crashes. It's kind of twisted the broken wheel or the bent wheel back into position a little bit better because, yeah, we are now not steering as much to the left as we were last time around. Rare, but occasionally, yeah, crash damage can actually fix a car. Now, we're going to put it back down into second. Oh, this is where the Bolide got in so many troubles on its third time of asking. We are now the furthest position front-wheel drive car in this series, although that is only just across there. Right, we're starting to lose that all-important performance. We're getting to that stage. I mean, we've gone further than the Bolide. Can we go further than the... Nope. I was about to say, could we go further than the all-wheel drive Pursue? The answer to that question is no. A rather innocuous jump in some ways to have taken... I was trying to be sneaky and go over the smallest part of that crest to try and get some momentum out the other side, but I can't. A rather innocuous landing. In fact, interestingly, the wheel isn't... We have actually managed to wiggle the car free. The front left wheel hasn't lost steering. It's where, I guess, where the drive shaft goes into it that's broken and the diff isn't allowing any power to go to the other side. And that is the car done for. It's a shame. I'm guessing, we are going to wiggle itself. I mean, since the steering is working, it's perfectly, legitimate to wiggle itself free. Although I think I've now gone, I've beached the arse of the car on that. That's not going anywhere. We wiggled it a couple of more centimetres down the road. Just the repeated damage in the end meant that a fairly small innocuous knock would be enough to sever that front wheel axle. For a front wheel drive car, though, that is a very, very good showing indeed. Up next, we have got the Toyota Celica GT4 is going to take on this circuit. Now, this mod is currently a work in progress, and while the cars are supposed to be all-wheel drive, they're actually ending up being just rear-wheel driven. So I've gone for a sort of a street version. I'm kind of curious to see how the rear-wheel drive Celica would fare. Of course, as soon as it becomes an all-wheel drive and whatnot, that one will be taken around. We'll have a proper rally monster. But yeah, how an all-wheel drive Celica is going to manage seems like an interesting prospect to me. You would expect this rally monster to be a fairly good car around here. It is, however, very, very powerful. It is very, very quick. Now, there are uses for that. Undoubtedly, there are uses for having a car with so much power, and you need the speed to get across the jumps. But when you are going as quickly as this one, a small miscalculation means you take a lot of speed over a jump and you have a very, very big crash on the other side. Also, in all of that spinning around on a pothole, I have broken something in the steering because the car is now pulling quite badly to the left. We see there, so easy to take a bit too much speed across that jump. It's a little bit long. Got away with it on the whole. I think the suspension is a little bit unhappy with me, quite frankly. I'm not sure it is loving this this punishment so far. We've lost the front bumper. The rear wing, I think there's kind of just about held on by a couple of bolts. Not sure how long that's going to last. In fact, the front bumper is... Okay, we're going to ever so slightly get that front bumper out of the way before it starts tearing the wheels apart. As per with this series, if there is debris either being caught in the wheels or, in that instance, likely to start ensnaring a wheel, I will pull it free, unless it gets to the... Well, I say I will pull it free. When it gets to the point where trying to pull it free tears the car apart, then that's vehicle done. That's vehicle very much out of contention. This rear-wheel drive car, of course, a little bit slidey around here. Let's try and use... I'm trying to, get the power down without losing control up towards this big jump. Again, we are across cleanly. Oh, there goes the second of the bumpers. Oh, no, it's come back on again. That's fine. These magical reattaching bumpers, they're very useful things, or half reattaching bumpers. Very useful things when you don't want to litter a race circuit with all of your debris. That's a new place to get fired out. I think I've broken suspension around this car. I mean, you can visibly see it doesn't look particularly happy, and that's causing me some problems with the control across these bumps. Up towards the pit we go. Big old flight for the Celica. It is landed, and it is not going to be in last place, which is nice. Across the horrible rocks we go. Across the horrible rocks we go. That is the first time we have had a drive shaft murdered on that section. Bugger, I wasn't quite prepared for that. The handbrake also has failed on the car. The handbrake doesn't work. I wasn't expecting that. I think the damage on the suspension meant the car running a lot lower than expected, meant that as we went across those rocks, just tore the drive shaft off. Now, we're seeing the radiator killed at that section. We're seeing a fuel tank killed at that section. But, yeah, that's drive shaft murdered on some rocks. Unfortunate indeed for the poor Celica. And our final vehicle for today is the SBR4. Now, emergency services vehicles in general have tended to do quite well. So I've gone for a police spec one, sort of a Dubai-esque police spec one. There is many horsepowers in this rear-wheel drive car. The SBR4 was actually a surprisingly tough, for a vehicle that, you know, is built for completely the opposite to off-roading. The SBR4 is actually a relatively tough vehicle, did very well at our previous destruction circuit, but it's a completely different sort of track that we have to contend with here. Speed certainly isn't going to be a problem, though much like I said with the Celica, while yes, as this car gets damaged, we should still be able to accelerate relatively easily across the jumps. It's very easy to try and carry too much speed. Then you're taking too much speed, and then you get really heavy hits on the landings. Not the perfect opening jump, but equally, while we've done a little bit of damage, we've lost a couple of windows and bumpers are starting to come off. Nothing too terrible. Likewise, oh, as I say that, we've lost the wing, the movable wing. No, that has vacated the car. All of that important downforce has gone at jump number 2. Either way. Apart from the wing vacating, and well, we might lose the boot, or it may just flap for the entire thing and just be generally annoying. Oh, we spat out the front bumper. Are we just going to lose all the body panels? I'm fine with that. Again, it's not affecting the mechanical running of the car. The bigger concern is my rear left suspension looks pretty damn collapsed. Now, this car has got the pushrod suspension, so different sort of suspension. Oh, bloody hell! That was a prime example of getting carried away. We were sort of sliding the car around a little bit out of that corner. I thought we weren't going to get enough speed, and I took my eyes off the speedo for a second just to make sure I was lined up right, and we found traction that it was suddenly doing far too many miles an hour. We got away with it. The car's strong enough to have survived that hit, but that's the day with a car with this much speed. The danger of miscalculation is just so great. You've got to watch out for it. That's a big hit on the rear left wheel. That's a very, very big hit on the rear left wheel. Now, it has twisted. Go across the rocks, please don't take out the drive shaft, thank you. It's twisted it, much like we've seen with cars in the past. 200BX particular springs to mind. The wheel twisted like that I can deal with, at least for now, because the wheel axle hasn't snapped, the wheel hasn't pinged off. The car is still drivable. Now, it's not great handling. It's going to pull the car around awkwardly, and I fear that the diff may cause potential problems as the wheel gets buckled up more, because this being a rear-wheel drive car, if we lose one wheel, I don't know if the diff is going to let it drive through the other. I don't know what sort of diff we've got in it. Of anything, you would probably expect this one to have a diff that would be capable, but we've seen like drag cars and so on not allow them to drive with a single wheel. So we'll wait and see if that poses any potential problem. I mean, there's still many other ways in which a car can go out around this course. That's the sort of thing that we don't want, but we can get away with it in a car of this speed. You saw the way we hit the kind of elevation change in the road, it just throws the car about, but we've got the acceleration, we've got the sheer power that I can adjust, correct it, and then get the car going where I want it to. Not so much across there, didn't really have time to align it for that jump, but we've made it clean. We landed on the nose, but the radiator's fine, so we are good to carry on. Ooh, bounce and wobble our way. This next jump is probably my biggest concern. This is where things can go wrong. They can go wrong anywhere around the course. But with the car in the condition it is, if we lose control ever so slightly just before takeoff of the jump, that's where we get in trouble. That is where we get hurt. I'm going to try a third gear approach here. Third gear better approach down here. Get the speed right. Cross the jump. Lovely. That is what we want. That is what we want indeed from the SBR4. We're carrying too much speed across the motocross section, and that is going to bounce us around a tad. But no kind of excess harm done. Oh, I say that. I lied. Excess harm has been done because now we've got sort of countering tow on the other wheel. I guess if that kind of counters itself out, it might drive okay. Power delivery is going to be very, very wonky in this car. Power delivery is going to be very wonky indeed. Yeah, this is the big problem I'm having now. That might have killed the front left. Oh, the back wheel that's gone. The front left is still working. I don't know. Oh, we have still got some drive. So, yeah, the issue... Oh, God, it's juddering horribly. The issue we have now in the car is that it will just suddenly grab power and drag it in random ways, and trying to control that when you're heading up towards a jump is just pot luck. So, pretty much all of the wheels are not at angles that they should be at, apart from the front. The front right is okay. Everything else is juddering around and... Look at it crab! We have built the SBR4 Crabmobile. Yeah, this isn't particularly great. The thing is, it's still going. The car is still driving around this circuit. Oh no, the front left wheel axle's gone completely. The potholes are not going to be kind to this car. The potholes are not going to be kind whatsoever. While the wheel axle is gone, it's gone much in the same way that Pesima did. It's gone from, I guess, a drive. It shouldn't be a drive shaft point of view because it's not got any drive to the front. So I don't quite know what's broken in the front left axle to bring up the message, but to have not actually killed the steering. These potholes, by the way, are nigh on unnegotiable with rear wheels that are bouncing around in the manner that this car is. Just every so often it decides, well, we're going to go around in a circle now. You are going to go around. This is not fun for the poor SBR4. Now, it hasn't hit the crawler rule. It is still more than capable of achieving 20, well, it's doing 26 around here, more than capable of achieving the required speed to carry on. Where I think this car is going to come undone is as soon as we get to a jump. Now, if we can, keep it out of the walls, if we can line it up for the jump, we might just have to go screw it and just power. Just power and hope. It's not going to be lined up perfectly. There's no way this car can be anymore. But if we can have some luck, just use sheer brute speed in this, we might be able to make it. I mean, I'll line it up as best I can. We've got little control I have, of course. But we need to get to a stage where we can just say, right, I am flooring it, and let's hope that this works. It might go soaring into the river. It might go soaring into the river. It might go tumbling out of the scenery. It might go in any which direction. But if we can get it right, here we go. Power, 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 power. It's enough. It's enough. It's going to clear it. It's made it across the river. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that has made it across the river there. That is incredible. Come on, SBR4. Although it's come at a big cost. It has come at a very, very big cost. Only one. No, neither of my rear wheels are really working anymore. Come on, you can do it. You can limp your way around. You've got to try and beat that. You can't be beaten by a front-wheel drive Pesima. That being said, I think that rear wheel is gone. I think that rear wheel is has had it. I mean, is that still connected? We've got more steering from the back of our car than we do from the front of it. I should say that. The front is actually not that bad on steering, but the rear wheels are just putting us around and round and round in a circle. We might be able to limp our way up towards the next section. It's not going to clear this jump. I fear if we fall in the pit across this jump, I don't think we've actually seen a car ever end up in this pit. I think it is going to just be a case of, yeah, the drive is gone. The drive is just completely and utterly dead in the car. And, oh well, that's going to be game over, isn't it? I drove it as long as I could. It went for as long as it could, but those rear wheels, I mean, this is perhaps the most spectacular we have ever seen a car fail. The flappy wheels Pesima was brilliant. I mean, some of the fireballs were good, but for pure drama and for pure resilience to keep driving, the punishment this car took, the way that it limped its way around and still managed to make the jump, it was just the damage done on the wheel as it landed, just the continual twisting until you get to this state. What a mess. But what a spectacular showing from the SBR4. It goes further than the Bolide. At the end of the day, it goes further than the Bolide. It goes further than a lot of cars. Makes it onto its third lap, despite the just complete and utter suspension failure. So, on to our results map, and it is the modern Pesima that goes furthest of the day, all the way onto its third lap. Crashes out, or I say crashes out, dies at pretty much the same point in fairly similar way to the Legrand, just a lap later. It is not that far down on the all-wheel drive Pursue, and for a front-wheel drive car to have made it that far on lap 3 is... yeah, very, very good showing. Not far behind it, though, is the SBR4 with those hilariously silly buckled wheels. Definitely, I think, the most spectacular form of failure on that car. They kind of held on. I'm amazed that it even had any drive at the way that it was going, but yeah, in the end it just became too much for the car to continue. And we have the Celica well down the order. It's right in the little cluster of cars at the very bottom of this this kind of challenge, with just pipping the all-wheel drive K series a little bit further than the Satsuma and the Stance Pesima. That little area after the pit has claimed a number of the weaker cars. I mean, the Celica's case, it's just an unfortunate place drive shaft suspension damage, put it all together, and yeah, a rock took out. It was actually like the initial rock as well. It wasn't even the bigger rocks that took out the drive shaft. It was the initial rock that killed that car. We haven't really seen that before, but yeah, there we go. We didn't have anything die on the second lap across the death jump, which is a surprise, quite frankly, for this series. That, though, is going to be it for this episode. As ever, I shall link all of the mods used in the description so you can download them, have a go with them yourself. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.